All right. Welcome, everyone. This is week 2 of our Go Healthy Weight Management program. If you have not already done so, please make sure you turn your tracker in. For today, I sent that email out with the link for the tracker. So if you have not got that in, please make sure you get that in. All right. So today we're going to be talking about the success of last week's assignment. We're going to discuss the fourth Go Healthy fundamental, review the record keeping tools, and discuss the week's assignment, excuse me, and introduce next week's topic. All right, so last week we talked about the third Go Healthy fundamental, which was having at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables daily. So the goal was to have 3 servings of vegetables a day and 2 servings of fruit. So if you did increase your fruit and vegetable intake, how did you? Think about what ways you can continue. If that was successful, think of how you can continue that, or think of other ways you can continue to increase your fruits and vegetables, whether that's packing veggies as a snack, so maybe some carrot sticks, celery sticks, or cucumbers, or if you pack fruits for a snack like bananas or apples, think of ways that you can get those fruits and vegetables in each day because they are very important in our diet. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the fourth Go Healthy fundamental, which is portion control. And there are 2 strategies. The first strategy is using the My Plate Food Guide to help lower calories for the protein, grains, and dairy group. And the second portion control strategy is using meal replacements. So, meal replacements include frozen entrees, protein shakes, nutrition bars. All right, so the first group we're going to jump into is proteins. So, the first strategy is using My Plate to help lower calories for the protein food group. In your program booklet, if you have the opportunity, please make sure you visit that booklet. There's a lot of great information in there. On page 10, you can find the serving recommendations for the protein food group. So, protein includes animal, it could be meat, beef, pork, lamb, poultry, fish, shellfish, eggs. Or it could be plant, which includes beans, peas, lentils, soy products, nuts, and seed. This is the vegetarian option, especially for those who don't eat meat or fish or chicken or eggs. These are your options for plant-based. The My Plate tip is to vary your protein routine. So include different proteins in your diet. So the first is choosing lean or low fat meat and poultry. So this includes your 93% lean ground beef, pork loin, skinless chicken breast. You can choose fish and shellfish for healthy fats. You can have those 2 times a week and have at least 8 total ounces. Or you can try meatless meals. So you can have a bean-based vegetarian chili, lentil soup, tofu with veggies. So this is what we mean when we say vary a protein routine. Maybe, today you have 93% lean ground beef or skinless chicken breast, and maybe the next day for dinner you have that bean-based vegetarian chili. So, and also maybe include that fish, 2 times a week somewhere, either at lunch or dinner, but just focusing on varying that protein routine. So at the bottom of my side is some ways you can swap in and swap out for a healthier way to eat with the portion control. So the first picture is swapping out for a more lean cut of red meat. The next one is fried chicken. So swap out that fried chicken for grilled chicken. The next one is fried fish. Instead of eating that fried fish, having grilled or baked fish. For the meat, you can swap out that meat and have beans. And those are just some ways to vary your protein routine. Going back to that guide to smart food choices, if you look on the guide to smart food choices, it will tell you the proteins that you can have anytime, the ones you should have portion controlled, and the ones that you should have occasionally. And this is based on calorie and fat. So for the anytime foods, you'll see that those are more low calorie and low fat versus the occasional foods, which is high calorie and high fat. So when you get the opportunity, revisit that guide to smart food choices, and you can look at the protein food group to see which foods you can have anytime, which foods you should portion control, and which you should have occasionally. All right, so let's talk about grains. So grains are any food made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or another cereal grain. Some examples include bread, pasta, rice, breakfast cereals, oatmeal, grits, tortillas, popcorn. There are two subgroups. They include whole grains and refined grains. You see that picture there? You have the whole grain bread and the refined bread. The My Plate tip is to make at least half of your grains whole grains. So again, some images of swapping in and swapping out. So for regular rice, you can swap that out with brown rice. Pasta, refined pasta, you can swap in whole wheat pasta and replace that. For like the sugary cereals, you can replace that with a whole grain cereal like whole grain Cheerios or oatmeal. And instead of corn grits, you can substitute it with, you can get rid of the regular grits and substitute that with the corn grits. And again, if you visit the guide to smart food choices, you can see what grains would be anytime, portion controlled, and the ones that you should have occasionally. So again, I just want to remind everyone that is a great resource and will help you definitely save calories if you follow that guide. All right, so next we are going to move to dairy. And again, the serving recommendations can be found in your program booklet. So if you look on page 10 and page 11, it will have the protein, the grains, and the dairy. So the dairy food group consists of milk, yogurt, cheese, lactose-free milk, fortified soy milk, and soy yogurt. The My Plate tip is to move to low-fat or fat-free products. If you are a person that does not do dairy and you would like to do dairy alternatives, that is perfectly fine. But you want to really focus on selecting unsweetened versions. Those unsweetened versions are going to definitely have less sugar. All right, so another set of pictures. So swap out the whole milk and swap in the fat-free milk. Swap out the cheese and substitute with the fat-free cheese. Same with yogurt. And then if you're doing the dairy alternatives, you want to select the unsweetened version. So here it's a picture of two almond milks. You have the regular almond milk and then the unsweetened almond milk. And you see, if you go to the store the next time, if you pick both of those up, you can tell the sugar content. Again, revisit that guide to smart food choices. Look at the dairy group, and it'll let you know what dairy foods you can have anytime, which ones have to be portion controlled, and which ones you'll have occasionally. All right, so that was the first strategy for portion control, using the My Plate Food Guide and following those tips for those 3 food groups. So just a quick recap. For protein, you want to vary your protein routine. Try to choose lean meats, switch out and have fish and shellfish during the week, and then even choosing vegetarian options. For grains, the goal is to make at least half of your grains whole grains. And then for dairy, the goal is to move to low fat or fat free. All right, so meal replacements. This is the second strategy. So meal replacements are products that are already portion controlled for you. And these work well, especially if you are a busy person and you might not always have the opportunity to cook all the time, or let's say you've been eating out a lot at work and you've been grabbing things on the go. Meal replacements are a great substitution for that. And as I mentioned, there is already portion control for you. It includes frozen entrees, protein shakes, and nutrition bars. It can be used as a meal or a snack. So most likely the nutrition bars are usually used at the snack, and I know sometimes people will have the protein shakes in the morning, maybe in addition to something else for their breakfast, and then frozen entrees can be used for lunch or dinner. Now, something that you do want to pay attention to when you are selecting either the frozen entrees or the protein shakes or the nutrition bars, there are 3 S's that you want to look out for. They include sodium, saturated fat, and added sugars. So when you're looking at that food label, if you notice that, hey, let's look at sodium. If sodium is the percent daily value is 20, that is going to let you know that that is high. So usually 500 or more, it's going towards the higher side for that sodium. So I know there are frozen meals that they might straddle that 500 milligrams, but there are options for some that are under that. So if you can, try to use those frozen entrees that have the lower sodium, the lower saturated fat, and then the lower amount of added sugar. Same thing with the protein shake. Watch out for that sodium, the sugar. Same with the nutrition bars. Look out for that sugar in there. So these again are an option for you if you are a person that's always on the go and maybe you don't have the time to cook every day, but you need to take something for lunch to work. This is an option for you, grabbing those meal replacements. And again, they include frozen entrees, protein shakes, and nutrition bars. And the goal is to have 1 to 2 a day. This is optional. You don't, even though it's one of our fundamentals, it is optional. You don't necessarily have to have meal replacements. It's just an option for you. Now, if you are doing the meal replacements, the goal is to have 1 to 2 a day, 2 at the most. And I already talked about that, watching for additives such as sodium and added sugars, but also saturated fats. And if you look on page 12, there are guidelines and strategies for selecting healthier, lower calorie selections. And then there's also some protein shake recipes inside your program booklet. Or you can look on myplate.org, and there are recipes in there under their kitchen tab. All right, so let's move on to the record keeping tools. Again, these are optional. These are just a way for you to track for yourself just to see how you're doing. If you're having, the anytime foods more than occasional foods versus the portion control. This will kind of track to see how you're doing. On this one, you also track your weight, your fruit and vegetable goal, your meal replacement goal, and then your physical activity. So again, optional, but it's just another tool for you to track yourself each week. Same goes with the fundamentals record. So that one I just talked about was the plan page. This one is the fundamentals record. And this one, you're literally just tracking your fundamentals. With the plan page, you tracked everything you ate for breakfast, for lunch, for snack, for dinner. That one is a more robust record keeping tool. Whereas this one is pretty simple. If you just want something simple just to track, you're tracking your weight, you're tracking your water, your fruit and vegetable, your meal replacements, your physical activity. All right, so for our tracker this week, you will now include a meal replacement. If you are doing your meal replacement, you are putting on there how many days per week that you are sorry, having your meal replacements. Then the goal is 1 to 2. So how many days per week are you having that 1 to 2 meal replacements? So continue with everything that you were doing the week before in the tracker, and then you're adding the meal replacements now. And I have been checking your trackers out, so keep up the great work. Thank you for turning those in. And this week's assignment is to continue with the fundamentals we discussed already, which is the guide to smart food choices, making sure you're looking at that and following that, drinking at least 64 ounces of water a day, having 5 servings of fruits and vegetables daily, 3 servings of vegetables, 2 servings of fruit. And then now the new fundamental, which is portion control. So the My Plate tips for protein, grains, and dairy, which proteins is varying your protein routine, grains making half your grains whole grains, and then dairy moving to low fat or fat free. If you are doing dairy alternatives, look for unsweetened versions. And then the second part to that is the meal replacements. It is optional, but the goal is to have 1 to 2 per day if you are doing meal replacements. All right, so next week we're going to be talking about the fifth and final Go Healthy fundamental, which is physical activity. So physical activity includes walking, gardening, hiking, dancing, swimming, cycling, active recreation, lifting weights, and we're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk about that all next week. But that is all that I have for you all today. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions about anything that we went over. Please don't hesitate to reach out. But thank you for joining, and I'll see you all next week. Thank you.